So I'd like to welcome everyone along this afternoon to our second MYOB webinar for the day. This one's on essentials. I'll just pass you all on to Ryan, who'll give a little introduction. Thanks, Ryan.
Sure, thank you very much, Helen. So today we are going to be covering off the new Essentials platform. So as I understand it, everyone who's on or going to be watching this webinar will most likely be using the old version of Essentials. So that's our browser-based software for small businesses. So what we've looked at doing over the last year or so is we've developed a big improvement to that Essentials software. So a lot of people love Essentials in the old format. It's very simple, very easy to use. But because of that that simplistic nature of it, it also is missing some sort of key features that a lot of people have requested over the years. So we've built a new platform now. We're going to start upgrading client files in the coming sort of 3 to 6 months or so to this new platform. So today is just a chance to give everyone a glimpse of what that new platform looks like before the upgrades happen. And just sort of highlight some of the key differences and feature enhancements that we've developed. Some of you might also be familiar with AccountWrite. So AccountWrite is desktop based mainly at the moment, but it's much more feature rich and has a lot more complexity to it. So what we've tried to do here with this new platform is bring Essentials and AccountWrite together into one platform. And so the new Essentials has all the simplistic, easy to use features of the old Essentials, but it has all the really great features and richness of AccountWrite in there. So we think you'll love it. And today Sonia will take us through some of the key changes, and I'll hand over to you, Sonia. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ryan. Welcome everyone. So yeah, today we're going to be having a look at some of the great new features that you're going to have access to, and I would just point them out to you as a point of difference. Obviously the best way that you're going to remember them and start to use them is when you're actually in the software. So I will share my screen with you and let's have a look. And if you can just confirm you can see my MYOB Essentials dashboard, please.
Yes, we can see it, Sonia, thanks.
Great, thank you very much. I'll just leave that up there. Okay, so this is your new look and feel of Essentials. And what you'll find straight away is that we have a nice dashboard for you to be viewing in. You can see that we have some great information on your dashboard and quick, easy access areas. So you have your sales widget. You know, it's great to see. I've got a bit of work to do here. Cindy Charming, she's a bit overdue. Got to start chasing her up. We've also brought in a few of our graphs and charts that help give you a feeling of how you're tracking. So at a really good quick glance, I can see that, wow, my business is tracking pretty good this year. I had a couple of quiet months, July and August, but of course the year that we've had could be expected. And, you know, now I'm tracking so much better. So that's a really nice quick indicator at a glance to see how you're tracking. Same kind of format with your purchases, it works in the same way. And then down at the very bottom, you have a pictorial view of your P&L. So your income, your expenses, where your net profit is sitting. Mine's not looking so great, but this is a demo file, but yours hopefully is in reversed. You know, your profit is much higher, so that would look great. Over on the right, you have a quick view over your bank accounts. You can easily drill down into each bank account, and from that visibility you can see what your bank feed balance would be. This is again a demo file, so I don't actually have any formal bank feeds coming through. If I did, I could see my bank balance there, and at a quick glance I can see, oh, I've got a little bit of work to do here. 156 transactions in my check account, and if I click on my Amex account, for example, I've only got 28 to do there, so my focus should be on the other area. Easily you can click into here and it will take you directly to your bank feeds. At the bottom, just a progress map of how your pay runs are going, what you've lodged, what you haven't, if it perhaps was still sitting in draft, It would alert you that it was still sitting in draft and you hadn't completed it. But at a glance, again, it's giving a really nice overview of where my file is at. And you can see here, you can quickly add a pay run, quickly add a bill, quickly add an invoice without having to go over to sales, going down to the drop menu. You can easily just click on and off you go, start creating those invoices. Really, really nice and easy. Okay. And we tend to give you this nice little affirmation every day. And surprisingly, every morning that I do read it, when I open up my MYOB file, it makes me smile and just reflect for that moment. That's really our dashboard. So lots of new features there for you to have a look and a play with. If we click over to the right, this is usually where all our settings live in the current essentials, but they don't look to be so many there at the moment. And you're right, because what we've done is we now have an accounting tab. So most of these were appearing under here as well, but we decided to spread them out as this functionality is also a little bit more improved and more part of your day-to-day kind of things. Clicking back over to the right under our business settings. And this should be pretty much pre-filled as you get upgraded. All of your information will come across, not much you'll need to really do here, but I do want to point out just a couple of things to be aware of. This area here that is talking about your financial year, your current financial year is really reflecting your tax year. It's not the year that you're working in currently. This is more of an accounting function. And we really do recommend that if you were looking at making any changes here, that you are consulting your accountant first and foremost. We also recommend never to start the new financial year. Again, that is an accounting function. And if you were to click on there accidentally, it could cause some issues within your file. So please make sure that you're leaving this option here to your accountant. Okay, so even if it was in 2020, you're going, I'm not in 2020, I'm in 2021, but your tax year could still be in 2020 if your accountant's finishing your work. So please be mindful around here. Back up. Income allocation, again, that's an accountant function, so nothing for you to worry about there. Invoice and quote settings, this is still sitting very much like essentials. Your templates will come across. You can see that the format here is the same. You've got your templates. How you create your invoice is still all aligned as you currently perform. Our payroll settings. Now, our payrolls had quite a bit of a facelift. If you use AccountRight, which is our other product, as well as, you'll be quite familiar because we've brought all of the power and the functionality of our AccountRight software. Again, I'll touch on the payroll information, but for the moment, just looking at the payroll settings, most of this should be already pre-filled for you, whether you're working in a 38 or 40-hour week. Generally it's 38, but just in case. If you have a withholder number as opposed to ABN, but again, that should be mostly filled in for you. And you also have the option now in payroll to use manual timesheets. So you could track your time by creating manual timesheets where you're entering in the times, but we also now have a new app called MYOB Team, and that is a mobile device app where all of your employees can log into the app, create their own times. It comes through to the manager approves the time, and then your payroll is preloaded with all of the time captured through your timesheets. So you have two options, and either option, if you choose to use it, you'll need to just come in here and turn on that you want to use your timesheets. That's all you need to do, and save those preferences. Superannuation funds, this is where you will come in and create all of the different super funds that your employees may be connected to. It will come with a default fund of Spectrum Super. That's generally more as an example, but you can easily jump in here and create your super funds within the payroll settings. Once you go to your employees and you go to select a super fund, if it's been entered here, it will pre-load for you. Okay. Pretty easy within the payroll settings, and of course your email default, how it's going to go out to your employees. You can come in here and adjust if you wanted to. Most people tend to stick to the defaults usually. Report settings, again, a preference more for your accountant. If you're not sure about what options you should be selecting here, as it is a new functionality, please go back to your accountant. It's very much around the way that you report BAS, your accounting method. These are just presets. All of these, of course, are customizable within the report that you produce, but if we're setting up all our preferences initially, it just makes for quicker reporting around that. How you wish to display your negatives. Do you like currency symbols? Do you want cents to show, yes or no? Again, your accountant would be the best person to help guide you around these preferences. Users, this is also a scenario where perhaps your accountant could be your best guide. They may be the ones that are controlling your file and inviting you into the file, or it may be that you own your file and you're inviting your accountant into the file. As the files get upgraded, this will all be preset and done for you. But just to let you know that you do now have the option of different roles and permissions within your file. So for example, you might be getting really, really busy and you decide to take on another admin person, and that admin person is going to do most of the day-to-day processing in the file, where they're going to be sending out invoices and allocating bank feeds. Fantastic. You could just jump in here, invite them into the file as a staff member, and you could give them access to sales, purchases, banking and cards. And it may be the scenario that you don't want them to have access to payroll for privacy reasons. You now have this ability for different roles and permissions for people using your MYOB file. Again, if you need any guidance around this, your accountant will be the best person to offer that to you. Fantastic. And importing, exporting data, again, mostly to sit with your accountant. You can export the chart of accounts. Your accountant may find that they may do that for the purpose of uploading a specific type of chart that integrates well with their tax software. That's something that your accountant will generally work with you, but just so that you have visibility over it. You can import the chart, as I said, contacts, employees. If you have that set up in a CSV, as you get upgraded though, you won't really need to do any of this import. It may be down the track that you want to start using the timesheets, for example, on a CSV, you then may want to import that. Okay, so not really a function that you'll find you'll be using very much, but just so you know that it's there. As we head across here, within your question mark here, this is our in-product help or your interactive help. And the great thing is you can see currently I'm on the import and export information, and it's opened up to exactly that information that I need. It has a simple overview to explain to you what this area is about. It has your most frequently asked questions. It has links to all our external help pages that are really nicely titled and headed for you. Help from the community forum if you're troubleshooting, and MYOB Academy if you feel you want any extra help. And you'll see that as I move along, if I'm going to create an invoice, again, it's giving me that exact same layout. Brief introduction, most frequently asked questions, can I delete an invoice that has a payment against it? How do I change the payment terms? These are the questions we found mostly coming through to our support calls. Again, help pages and links, community forum, MYOB Academy. And it doesn't matter where you move in the file, it will flow with you, which is really, really handy, especially those first few weeks when you're starting to use a new file. Highly recommend that you just have that on as you're tracking or going through. We found sometimes a lot of people not sure what to Google if they're looking for something, and they just keep linking and linking, going to further pages. We're hoping that this help within the product is going to be very, very utilized. And then again, you have those quick add functions here now within that plus as well. Your sales is still sitting very much essentials. Not much has changed here, to be honest. The layout of creating an invoice is still quite similar. A few highlights for you is that you can see that this is an item layout. The little cog to the right, if you select that, it will change it to a service layout. Okay, you do have the option here of adding in jobs. So we haven't had jobs in our essentials at all before. It is generally one of those account right features. It's a very much utilized tool. So we've brought it into essentials at the moment. So that's your jobs. If you're tracking how much you're invoicing out and spending on particular work, you know, if you're in the trade industry and you want to see you know, how much is it costing you to do a job, and should you charge more or can you reduce your costs? Jobs helps you track all those expenses and income. We also have at the bottom, don't forget, just at the very bottom, it's hiding save and duplicate. So you may have the kind of invoice that you invoice the same client every month. It's the same thing, same amount. All you're really doing is just changing the month and the date. You can pull up a prior invoice and then just simply save and duplicate it, and it will pop up with the next invoice number available and today's date for you, and everything within the service layout here will already be pre-filled for you. Okay, so that's really handy. So just a couple of improvements here, but basically you can flow that all through. Sending statements, emailing, having your history. Once this is emailed, you get a history of the invoice underneath, so you can track if your clients have viewed the invoice, whether when they've paid, if they've viewed it 25 times, if they've printed it, or if they haven't actually received it at all. So that awesome functionality is still available for you at the bottom. But sending statements, processing returns, all of that is still sitting exactly the same for you. Purchases, again, all still very much sitting essentials as a highlight for you, and this is connected to our contacts. When you now enter in a supplier, if you've set it up correctly within the contact, and I'll show you that when we get there, you can see I've added in my supplier. It's given me details, and immediately it has flagged for me that this ABN is in fact active. And if I was to hover here and click on, I can see without having to go to any external web pages that this actually is an active status supplier. They are registered for GST. I can also check the name and the entity align with the name of the supplier. Okay, if I needed further details, sure, I can go to the ABN lookup site. It's pre-filled the ABN for me, and I have all information around this now. So that's a really handy tool. We know that the ATO introduced new legislations around supplier bills being able to be deducted based on whether the ABN was actually active. So the fact that it flags for you, and if I grab AA cleaning, then it's telling me, well, you don't actually have all the details for AA cleaning, so I will need to reach out to them and get some more information. Okay, so really, really handy. Again, you can toggle here between service and items, and again you have your jobs, and we also have within the billing, if you are receiving a discount, you can now apply that as well. Okay, not much different there either. Within the bank transaction, so hopefully you've all got your bank feeds switched on. We know what a huge time saver bank feeds are, allowing us to auto reconcile a file. They allow for less errors in data entry. Works much, much better having your bank feed switched on. So highly recommend. That's definitely a feature that you should be using. Within our bank transaction screen, just like Essentials, you do have the option of all transactions unallocated and unallocated. Unallocated and allocated. We also now have preset date ranges, which is fantastic. It will always default to the last quarter naturally, but you do have the option of setting preset date ranges. A feature that has changed for you though is that you can't select all bank accounts. Now, because we have this new feature here of a bank feed balance, that bank feed balance is linked to a particular bank account. Obviously, my bank feed balance, as I explained before, is non-existent because this is not a true bank feed, but rather just an import of data. But because you have your bank feed balance functionality, you can't have all bank accounts. Okay, and this was probably one of our most requested features, that people wanted a real bank feed balance to come through. Currently in Essentials, we only have a ledger balance. There's no comparative to where the bank is sitting. Okay, so just be mindful you can't do all transactions there. Sorry, all bank accounts. You can see all transactions, but only one bank account at a time. Okay. Importing a statement if by chance, you know, you found that some of your, you might have a new credit card, or you might get a new loan account, and with your accountant you work together and say, let's get this account onto bank feeds because there's way too many to be entering in manually. And then if you decide you want to go back to 1st of July, so you've got the whole history in there, you can still import a statement really nice and easily like you could currently in Essentials. So it just needs to be a QAF file from your bank, and that's exactly what I have here. So this is a QAF import. It flows and works and behaves exactly like a bank feed, which is a really, really nice feature. So just be mindful of that import if you needed to. Within our bank transaction screen, not much on the face of it looks very different here. What you will find is all of our bank statement descriptions now. Currently in Essentials, when you get that little pencil, and I'll just show you that so you can see there's a point of difference. If you hover and you get that little pencil, as that opens, it would give you this note box. So this was a way that you could give your accountant more information, or this was just saying transfer savings, like what was it really for? You know, did you save this for GST, or did you save this for super, whatever the reason may be. This allowed you to add in a bit more information. Okay, so we've taken that notion, but what we've done is we've allowed you now to alter your bank description. Okay, so if I'm looking through this and I can see, yep, Officeworks, wow, 280. I'm pretty sure my accountant's going to ask me what I bought at Officeworks for 280. So normally you would either send the receipt to your accountant, or you would send them an email perhaps, or you might leave that and your accountant's going to come back to you and say, what was that 280 for? Now when you click on the pencil, it allows you to adjust your narration. I can get my fingers working this afternoon. And if I tab out of there, you will see that that narration has turned purple. So the purple is telling your accountant and yourself that a change has been made. Okay. The great thing here, you can see I've got a few different purples here. If I hover there, you can see what the original narration from the bank was as a bit of a fail safe. Okay, that's a lot of money, $2,000 on groceries. If I found that I accidentally put the wrong narration there, no problem, click into the box and you can simply exit out and tab out, and it will return to the original bank narration, and you'll see it will return to the black color font as well, okay, to indicate that it's the original narration. Really, really handy if you're using checks. You may find that your accountants usually might send you a coding report and say, can you let us know what all these transactions are? And you're having to go and narrate on there. This allows you to come in here and change the narration or add in more, like you saw me do with Officeworks. I just offered that it was a new printer. Okay, of course, the next level to that is utilizing our in tray and capturing a copy of that receipt of the Officeworks. Okay, that works at another layer to help your accountant decipher and make the best, use of the information that they have there and then. So the fact that we can narrate our bank statements is really, really, really handy. Okay, so a great example again, this was just Woolworths. I've put on there, it was coffee, milk, and I've told them that the GST was only $1.20. Okay, huge time saving. You can see that that would work. Now we can still simply allocate. So if you just jump in, and this is insurance, no problem. You can easily allocate there if you want to. Now note, if I had this on unallocated transactions, that wouldn't disappear straight away. Currently, when you go and code something, you note that if I go into the old, and if I come in here and go sales straight away, if I change that to unallocated for you. So if I come in here and go telephone, and we click on there, you note that it disappears instantly. Give it a second and it's gone. And a lot of the time we go, oh, I need to make a change to that. And then you have to go back into allocated and all that. Within our new essentials, once you go and make an insurance, for example, it will sit there until you have finished this session. Okay, so when I go back out and go to another area, whether it be payroll or the dashboard, it will then reset. And then when I come back in and I have it on unallocated, then sure, it will disappear. But while you're doing it at that moment in time, and again, here we go, we have a fuel here. So if I come in here and go fuel, let's try that again, fuel. You will see that that will sit there. It won't actually disappear until I go out of this screen, and then it will go. So that's a really nice little function there that, you know, if I need to jump in and go, oh, we're supposed to change the GST, I still have time to do that. Okay, so that's really great. And again, if that's not something that you wanted in there, you can simply go and change that as well. The drop arrow over to the right is still working pretty much the same, just some new great improved features for you. So obviously when you drop an arrow, the allocate now is so that you can split your GST allocation. As one example, it may be insurance, it may be motor vehicle rego that we know is not 10% GST. So you could easily come in here and split that allocation. Okay, calculate the right total amount for the purpose of getting the right GST. It also may be that this could be, as it says, lease payment, where you're creating your rent, gross up your rent, and then deducting all of your rental expenses like management fees and repairs and maintenance or rates. So the allocate here is for you to go and do split allocations. This line description also now flows through to all of your reporting. So a really good time to start using the line description to add in more narration again, just so your accountant's got much more visibility over what's happening. Okay, so that's awesome. If you find that you do use a lot of suppliers and customers, you also now have the option to add a contact to all of your transactions. So if I have a supplier and I have, where do we go? Ian's Installation Services, for example, when I get to my reporting, I can do a report around all of my suppliers. I might want to see how much money am I spending on Ian's installations over the last year. So the fact that you can add any contact now allows you to have more depth of information in your file through your reporting. So you can do customer invoices and how much, supplier invoices and how much, over a period of time, over a particular person. Lots more transparency there if you wanted it. If we jump into create a rule, you'll see there's some great improvements in here. So currently in Essentials, you only have a spend money rule. So for example, Telstra, put it to telephone and you're done. We now have a bill rule. So if you're creating that Telstra bill through your purchases and you want to pay off the bill against that purchase, you would want to create a bill rule. So it will highlight for you now to say, yep, here's the bill that matches the Telstra. This is the payment. Excuse me. This is the payment that you've got for it, and it will highlight it to you because it will search through the bills, okay, and check if there's a match. The spend money is exactly how we're using it at the moment. You now have the option to apply your rule to all your bank accounts, so like it's a universal rule, or just to one bank account. That works really, really well if you've got lots of loan accounts that have all different interest on the loan accounts. And you may want to track your interest in different chart codes so that come year end, your accountant can see that on your new car, your interest was $1,500, but you know, on your new boat, you know, your interest was $3,000. You have that option to apply it to different bank accounts. Sometimes people also collect income differently through different bank accounts. They may have 2 EFT machines. There's lots of different scenarios where you may want to apply the rule to one bank account as opposed to all of them. It allows you to have more depth of separation within your rule, which is great. Setting the rule parameter, the option of or and, is also the same as what you're currently using in Essentials. Not much has changed there. And of course your allocation, so if this was our Telstra and we're going to allocate it to telephone, your allocation here is still sitting the same. You do have the option of splitting it. So if you've spoken to your accountant and with your telephone or your motor vehicle, if you've kept a logbook to say, you know what, we're only going to claim 70% of it and the rest is going to go to your drawings, fantastic. You can create that if you wanted to as a split allocation. Okay, it may be the instance that it's an amount. So if it's a mobile telephone and you wanted the newest and greatest mobile phone, and you know you're paying $150 a month, for example, but with the accountant and your usage of the phone, it's a matter of going, you know what, you're only going to claim $50 a month. No problem. Let's create the $50 a month. Let me create my drawings. I can put in my $50 a month, and no matter what my phone bill is, $50 of it will go to telephone with GST, and then the remaining balance, whatever it may be, will go to my drawings account. That works really well for motor vehicle. If it's a certain amount you can claim, works well for internet and claiming only a percentage of home expenses, for example. But this is still sitting very much Essentials. Okay. Key differences here from what you currently have is the application of one or all bank accounts and whether you want to set it up as a spend money or a bill rule. So awesome enhancements we've had there. If we go to the match transactions, this still works in the same principles, slight different narration on some things. So you have a close match or you have your all transactions. You can search if you want now for a particular contact. Again, you can search if it's for an amount or the invoice number or the bill number. But if you just want to look at a particular contact, you can also look for that. The idea of ticking off and applying that payment is still sitting the same. You may have noticed now we have a discount box that you can easily, if you have paid an invoice early perhaps and they've offered you a 5% discount, great, you can come in and apply your discount if you want to. So then you can match the actual payment to the invoice completely. Okay, that's really easy. All still sitting like you currently work in Essentials, not much different there. What we do have is we have this brand new function to add an adjustment. And I'm not sure if you've had this experience before, but I know I've had it quite a few times with clients where I've invoiced them out and the invoice was for $599, but they thought they'd be nice and just round it and pay me $600. That causes a problem when we come in here and try to match the payment because they've paid me extra. If I try to, I can't apply that 600 anywhere. I can only do $5.99, and what am I going to do with that $1? And if anything, it doesn't even let you save. Okay, you can apply if there's another outstanding invoice, sure, but if there isn't, that can cause you some heartache. Normally you would have to go back into the invoice, adjust it for $1 or create another dollar invoice just so you could match it off and then apply that payment. Happy to say we now have the option for you to add in any adjustments or roundings. So now I could simply go in, add that $5.99 payment there. Great, I've paid that off, and come in here and offset that $1, whether it be to my sales, to a rounding account, if it's a purchase, to the relevant purchase category. You have the option now to put that dollar where it needs to belong. Okay. The other great use of this adjustment option is if you may have the scenario where you have an EFT machine and you have clients coming in, and if they're big invoices or they want a receipt, sure, you would come in here and create an invoice for them. Okay, but you also have normal people just tapping and paying in that cash environment where you're not giving them an invoice or a receipt, they're just paying you for the job that you did today. So you have a combination of needing to pay off bills and invoices, but you also have a portion that's cash. In the past, the only way you could do that is to use an offset account or a clearing account or an undeposited funds account. Lots of people call them all different things, where I would put the payment that's come through my bank, that $1,000 would sit there in my undeposited funds. I would then come up here and go sales and go take my payment, okay? And I would close off the invoice that it needed to, and then you would come over to banking and go receive money and put that other 500. And hopefully within that undeposited funds account, all of that would balance out for you, okay? Quite a few clicks, quite a few transactions you need to do. The nice thing here is, you know, I got paid the 1120. Well, then, you know, 1,024 of it was for this invoice, and I now have a balance. Let me get rid of my 599 there. It's flagging for me. Something's not right, Sonia. Okay. Let's click back there. It's going to pick that up, and I could easily come in here and apply the balance of that directly to sales. Okay, whatever that amount needed to be. Easy done. No hard work there at all now. And you can see that full transaction and that full amount that you received on that day, all processed within the one page here. Really, really, really handy. And I've messed up my balances by ticking things on and ticking things off, but you would hopefully see that you would have no out of balance there. It would work nicely for you. Okay, I'll close that up. Also, don't forget the idea, as I said before, with the in tray, capturing your source documents. You can drag and drop into your in tray if you have two screens and another, you know, your email open. If you jump into your more ways to load, you have your unique email address here that you can copy. You can auto forward your emails to come directly into your software. We obviously have our supplier feeds, which is going to be the next new buzzword you're going to hear a lot about, e-invoicing. We do have a strong push with the government around e-invoicing. Currently, these are our automatic suppliers, so Bunnings, Reece, Officeworks, TradeLink, quite a few names you might recognise. A great one to start with is Bunnings. If you use Bunnings, we know those receipts fade, we know those receipts disappear. If you link your MYOB file with Bunnings, and to do so, you just need to be a holder of a PowerPass card, and anybody can apply for a PowerPass card. You don't need to have a 30-day account. It's a bit like connecting a bank feed, but what it will do is Bunnings will send your invoices directly into your in tray. Okay, so there's full visibility over it. And the nice feature with the supplier invoices is that you have line by line detailed description. It's pretty much a carbon copy of the exact invoice, okay, within your software. Really, really nice and handy. If you do use Bunnings a lot, I highly recommend having a look at that and setting up that linkage. Again, lots of information on our invoices page, and again within your in tray it's telling you to learn more. We also have our MYOB capture app, no extra cost, all part of your subscription, and that really is logging in, as simple as that, as you do per your file. Take a photo, go send, and it will appear straight away within your in tray. Okay. The really nice feature, and we'll come back and touch on the in tray. The really nice feature of the in tray within our bank transaction screen is that you can link a source document automatically to the transaction. You don't have to create a spend money. You don't need to do any of those extra steps. As simple as it is, you can see I've got a document attached here. If we open that up, scroll down, there's my receipt for my Officeworks. If I want it there, great. If I don't, if I need a new one, it's as simple as linking from my in tray. Currently in Essentials, when you go into your in tray, all you're getting are these little icons. We have develop this further, so you now have more depth of information. So now you can see the date I uploaded it, you can see the supplier invoice number, the date of the invoice or the receipt, and the amount. Of course, if there is a perfect match, if I had an invoice here for $280, it would flag it and highlight it for me at the top. And for me to attach it would be as simple as clicking that on and linking it. That's all it would take. You can have up to 9 linkages if you needed to, no problem. And that wasn't the correct one, so nice and easy, I'll just exit out and get rid of it. Okay, it will return back to my in tray for me to then apply it correctly where I need to. Okay, so you can attach files, anything from your computer, no problem. Whether it's a bank statement, perhaps you've saved and you've got to attach it to the interest component of the month so that your accountant knows that, hey, if you want to see my bank statement, I'm going to attach it to the last transaction of that month, and it's just going to be there for you to have a look at. If you have manual timesheets or pay slips that you're manually creating and you want to attach it to an employee so that you have visibility over it, no problem. You can attach any document that you need to attach here. Of course, with meaning. All right. So you can still link and attach from your in tray, no problems at all. And the final one is your transfer money. That still works exactly the same way as you currently do in Essentials. So if I had a payment to my Amex from my check account, it would come up here for me as an option to select from. Just make sure you're selecting the correct one if you're doing lots of transfers. Of course, it does need to be a bank feed. So if it's a GST account and you don't have that on bank feed, well, then it's not going to offer you that transfer match. It does need to be something coming through your bank feed. It will align here for you. You would just need to tick it on like you would tick on here, and it will create that match in the background for you. So then it doesn't become any issues with your bank fees. There's no doubling up of transactions. Many times we see people saying, oh, this is going to the GST account, and then they go to the GST account and go, oh, that was from the check account. And then you're getting this doubling up of transactions in both accounts, and it gets really tricky to reconcile. So the transfer option is definitely always your best way to match off transactions from one bank account to another. Okay. So that's your bank transaction screen. You can see there's been a lot of work done around that. And one more feature I will just show you. If I just go to allocated, let's say you've done all your allocations for the quarter and you're going to start looking at your BAS, or tell your accountant, you know what, my BAS is ready for you to go. All of our headers up here obviously are sortable. So if you wanted to change around your dates, if you want to search based on the description so that they align, so you can see all my shell. If you were looking for, some particular types of deposits or withdrawals, you can organize that. But you can now also click on your match or allocate. And what that's going to do is it's going to sort all of your coding aligned. Okay, so at a quick glance, I can go, yep, Trinity Advertising is advertising, yep. Bank fees, yep, bank charges, Woolies, that's right, the business I'm in, it's a lolly shop, we do lots of cleaning. So there's all my cleaning, Woolies, fantastic. Office lease, no, that's not supposed to be electricity and gas, that's actually supposed to be rent. Let's go there again, I clicked out, rent. Okay, I can click on there and fix that up. They're GST pay. This is just for demo. I would get rid of that and make them stationary. But you can see how nice and easy it is to just have a really quick review of your file. Shell, all my motor vehicles. Yep, I'm happy with that. Woolies stuff, amenities. Yep, because again, I managed to change my narration. So that's telling me that's coffee and cleaning. The other Woolies was for coffee and milk. The other Woolies was for cleaning. So I know that's right. So this is a really, really nice handy tool because it also gives us how our GST is tracking. And when you have your split allocations, you can just pop those open and just have a quick review there if you're happy with that. Okay, really nice handy little feature there. Okay, that's our bank transaction screen. So a lot of work has been done there, and that's probably where a lot of you will spend a lot of your time. Okay, managing your rules, bank fees, spend money, receive money, all still very much sitting like your current essentials. The accounting tab, journals, you may find that you may need to add in journals for cash expenses. Again, your accountant will be the best person to guide you on creating journals if you haven't done them before or wondering what you need to do. As a highlight here, we do now have jobs and quantities within our journals, which is great. You also do have, as I showed you before in the sales, we do now have record and duplicate in our journals. We didn't have that before. So depending on which clients are attending today, some of you may have really complex files where you may be doing depreciation monthly journals. You know, up until now, you need to redo all of those from the beginning every month. Now you have the option here to go and grab the month prior, open it up and just duplicate it. The layout will all be there. All you'll need to do is just adjust your amounts. Okay, so that's all the feature that's there. Within your chart of accounts, not much has changed. It will all come across. Your linked accounts, again, another accounting principle. If you're thinking of making changes here, please do go to your accountant and just be sure, because just simply the change of this to a different account can have quite a big impact on how your file is working. So please reach out to your accountant for those changes. Jobs, as I said, really nice and easy if you haven't made use of this function because it hasn't been available, but you're now perhaps going, oh, I might start using this. I want to see how much, you know, if you have two shops, you know, and you want to track how much one shop is making as opposed to another shop. If you've got two different locations, lots of different uses for the jobs, but as you can see here, it is tracking your income, cost of sales, expenses, and then giving you somewhat of a net profit around that job. Okay, again, this is only as good as your data capturing, so you want to be sure that you are allocating a job to all income and all expenses. This is just a snapshot. If you want full reporting around jobs, you just need to jump into the reports and I'll show you that, and you'll have full detailed information around that. But creating a job, if it's something new, you can see it's as simple as, whoops, got bumped there. I've been working it a little bit hard today. Let's jump back in there for you. Back into my jobs there. Creating a job, as I said, it's as simple as that. The number, the name, if you want to link a particular customer to it, and it's as simple as that to create. So you now have this brand new functionality if you want to start using it. Tax codes, there are lots of tax codes there. There are lots here that you didn't have before. Again, if you're unsure about, you know, what's a luxury car tax, if you don't know what it is, you've probably never had to use it. But if it is something that you do now want to use, it's now available for you to start using a lot more of these. Again, your accountant will be the best person to advise you on this. Awesome, and you can prepare your BAS and IAS now directly from the software. You may have the instance that you're preparing all the data in the file, but your accountants are doing your BAS. That's fantastic. They'll take care of that for you. Or you may be the person that does all your own work, but your accountant's going to help you for year end. Again, you now have the possibility to prepare BAS or IAS directly from your software. And this is, again, I feel like I'm on repeat a little bit here, but your accountant will definitely be the best person to guide you on this. There is a little bit of setup in the sense of, you know, when you're preparing a BAS, what do you need to report at G1? What do you need to report at 1A, 1B? That initial setup will best be guided by your accountant. I'll leave payroll for the moment. Let's jump into contacts. Not much has changed here from essentials that you're currently working in. The main highlights here for you is that you can't have customer and supplier switched on together like we currently do. And the reason for that is if it's a customer, you'll see not much will change here. But if it's a supplier, we've added a few new features for you. So if they are reportable for TPAR, so taxable payments annual reporting, and you'll know if you're part of that industry that needs to report, you now simply can tick it on if they're a supplier. You can now add in their ABN, of course, like you could before. And if I tab out, you'll see that it's telling me that my ABN is active. Okay. You can go to the ABN website, but a new feature is you can now preset an expense account. So if this was that AA tiling and I know he's a subcontractor, well then every time I choose AA tiling, it's going to pre-fill the account code for me. If this was my Officeworks contact, I would come in here and put stationery, and every time I choose the word Officeworks in a bill, it will pre-fill the expense account for me. I won't need to code it, saving me more time. Okay, so just be mindful that you now have this functionality. So you may want to jump into all your suppliers, especially the ones that are regular and you always use the same account codes. You can now preset that in there if you want. Okay. In tray, and I was going to show you the improvements we've made in here. So you can see all my bills or receipts here. You now have the option to search if you're looking. I mean, there's not many in here, but you can imagine if I had 100 in there, it'd be hard to scroll. You do now have an option to search if you wanted to, which is great. We don't currently have that. And the nicest feature that's been improved here is if I jump in and I create a bill. So you can link to a bill like you can at the moment. You can create a spend money. You can download the document if you want to save it somewhere else in particular. But if we go in and create a bill, currently in Essentials, you would know that you would have your source document popping out into another tab, or it will pop in and out. You'll have to keep opening it to review it. Okay, now we have this option of a split screen. So you can see you have a nice split screen here. I have my documents that I can quickly glance at. I have created a contact for Electricity Co. So it already picked that up. It's already gone and checked my ABN. Remember, I can click here. Yep, that's who that belongs to. I'm happy with that. If this was a subcontractor, that would already be ticked. I've already told it that the account code was electricity and gas. It will pick up my invoice number. It picks up my date. It's gone and coded it for me. It's gone and put the amount in. GST, yes. It doesn't necessarily read the GST. Sometimes for subcontractors, you may need to change that manually. Okay, I'm all happy there. I just save, and that will save to this bill that I've just created. In the banking, it will be there, and then I just need to match off my bill. But the fact that it works alongside you is so much easier for data entry. Really, really, really important there. If I jump into the reporting and we go into the reports, I'm going to highlight for you the main ones that I feel as an SME user you'll be utilising. And the main one that you would probably see at the moment will be your GST report. So if we jump into our GST report, all of our reports are now able to be customised within the report. So we have all these options within the report. Again, all of our reports now have a preset date range. Okay, so I can grab a bit more if I want, last quarter, the quarter prior. And you can see here that I now have a GST summary. So it's got my tax codes, and here is my summary around my GST. Okay, if I expand it, this now becomes your GST detail. Okay, the great thing here is I don't have to keep going in and out of two reports. If I collapse that, if I just really want to review what's in my GST not registered, I have the option now to just expand the one. If I go, oh, why is this in here for? Okay, you don't need to have one or the other. You can do a bit of a mix, some expanded and some not. Okay, and the nice thing that happens here is that when you do go and expand it, if I go to my GST free, because there's a lot more there, when you go and export it for the purpose of record keeping, if you wanted to, as you export it is exactly as it is per your screen. Okay, so you can see I have a summary, and then here's my GST free that I expanded to be my detail, and then here I go back to a summary option. So that's really nice. It doesn't default back to how it thinks the report should be. It now will export to PDF or Excel. So all of our reports now go to PDF and Excel, all of them, exactly as you have displayed it on your screen. And you can see within your report options, again, this accounting method, that was one of those preferences in your report settings that I showed you at the beginning. But if you needed to toggle it, no problem, you can toggle it. I mean, our GST settings don't really change, but just to show you that, you know, that is an option. Again, how you want your negatives to look. Do you want your currency? Do you want your cents? Do you want your symbol? You can still have the option to adjust all of those at a report level. No problem. You do have the option to select particular tax codes if you want to view that. Okay, so we've brought a lot of reports all together. The other report that you may find very useful is our transactions report, account transactions. So it works very much like your general ledger. The account transactions, though, allows you to view transactions from a cash or an accrual perspective. Our general ledger is only now from an accrual perspective. And if I'm looking at this financial year and I want to review that I've allocated everything to the right place, more in depth than how I showed you on that bank transaction screen, you can choose cash and accrual. Again, note your report options here, cents, symbols. Do you want to show jobs? Yes or no? Do you want to show particular jobs? Yes or no? Okay. Up to you, you have all these report options. Do you want to show particular transaction types? Do you want to show particular accounts? Do I not want to look at my assets? Not really. I just really want to review my expenses. So let's click everything off. Let's jump into my expenses for now. Right down the bottom, don't forget we always have our save. Okay, and you can see it's filtered it for me and it's just giving me all my expense codes. Again, here's our option of expand and collapse. So at the moment it says a summary. I can see I spent $3,000 in accounting fees. If I expand it all, I now have depth of information around my accounting fees. Oops, something's happened here. My bank fees are going to my accounting fees. Oh, I better go back and check my bank rules. Maybe I set up a rule just around the word fee. Okay, so it allows you to do this little bit of an audit and check on your file. Okay, general journal, I'm sure that $3,000, that's what my accounting fees should be. And as you go through, you can simply see, if I jump into my next one, advertising, yeah, great feature here, export to PDF and Excel. You can export it exactly as per your screen. You may want to, there you go, there's my detail. I can check with my cleaning. Are these all my cleaning? Yep, that's great. Happy with that. Geez, I spend a lot of money on cleaning. I need to look at that. My fuel, you can see at a glance, you can do a review if you have posted everything where it needs to go. And again, you have that same functionality. Oh, my repairs and maintenance. What is going on in there? That's a bit high. Just open up the one option. Okay, you don't have to do all expand and all collapse. You have the option to change as you need to. That's a report that you'll probably use very often. And the other one, of course, is our profit and loss. You probably have 8 reports in here now as a comparative. So here's my normal P&L. There's my financial year. You do have the option to break down as you need, monthly, quarterly, yearly. If we jump into the monthly, you can see you have the breakdown every month. Quarterly, exactly the same per se. Just do your quarterly. You can compare it to last year within those quarters. See how you're tracking. Okay, you have your option of variances. Do you want a variance as a dollar amount? Do you want your variance as a percentage? Again, they are just simple as tick on and tick off. Okay, no cents. I want cents. I want currency symbols. Do I want my, you know, negative numbers to have a minus? Do I want them to have a bracket? So many options for you to play with in there. Okay, your comparative to last year, you have a comparative to budget. If you're keeping it as a total, so if we click off year to date, you can see it just becomes as simple as, obviously it's not a lot of data in here for last year, but you have all of these options available to you. Okay, within your report options, you have percentage sale analysis. You have a budget as well to P&L comparison. You probably have 8 or 9 reports within the one P&L. just based on which options you're selecting. Okay. Really, really handy. And if we have a really quick overview of our reports, you have all your standard business reports. Again, in your balance sheet, you have balance sheet summaries, journal security audit. You know, there's full transparency there over who's doing what in the file. For each person that has access to the file, it has full security audit around that. You can see exactly what everyone's doing. Budget managements, if you want, really easy to set up, you know, jump in and have a look. Cash movements, you know, the times that we're living in at the moment, all really important reports. Your accountant will be the best person to guide you on that setup. What's the best way for your business to have a budget? What's the best way to set it up? What are your realistic goals within your budget? Again, your accountant will be the best person to guide you on this. Okay, if we jump into our banking, you have all your bank transactions here, your reconciliations, statement of cash flow, payroll. We haven't touched on payroll yet. I'm going to jump to that in a moment, but your payroll has the full complexity of our account-right payroll system. So you can start to see here already that you have so many more reports around leave balances, around your super fund accruals, timesheets, as we said, you have that functionality. All reports around sales. When I was saying before that if you add a contact to your bank transaction, you can look up your customer sales. How much have they spent with you in the last month? Should I offer them a discount or not? Same with purchases, same with your jobs. Okay, lots of reporting around your jobs P&L. Do you want a comparison? Do you want it detailed? Do you want to see the breakdown? Lots of information. And then we have online invoice payments. So if you are using our online invoice payment option, which is this here that you can very easily set up within your invoicing. So this is your online payments. Follow the prompts and the links here so that your customers can pay you via Visa, Amex, BPay. With all the normal merchant facilities attached to that. If you utilize our online invoice payments, MYOB is clever enough. As soon as someone's paid you, it will come in, it will close off your invoice. If you have invoice reminders set up, it will make sure that that reminder is not going out because that customer's just paid you. And you now have transparency around those online invoice payments. You can see who paid you, what day, when, how. You can also see if you have any costs and your merchant fee attached to that. And within the next couple of months, we are offering the option that you can pass on the merchant fee if you want to. We find not so many people are taking this on because they're a little bit concerned of having that merchant fee. Pretty soon you'll actually have the option to go, let me pass that merchant fee on to my customer if they want to have these payment options. Okay, so awesome reporting around here. You can favorite reports. So if you're finding, you can see I've got some purple star here already. These are ones I use most frequently. So they will obviously appear in my favorites if I star them on. Okay, so the ones that you use the most. Reporting's the area that you've just got to go and play in and see what fits you and your business. Payroll, I know we're soon out of time, but I'll touch on payroll a little bit. Your payroll has got new functionality. It is now quite complex, to be fair, compared to what you're currently using. You can see already here within your pay items, we preload it with a lot of pay items. Currently in Essentials, if you have overtime or if you want to pay a bonus, you need to create those pay items. We already have them now preloaded for you. And within each of these pay items, there are lots of different ways to have the calculations for those options. So if we jump into our overtime, 1.5, for example, if you needed to create a new pay item, even though most of them will be preloaded there for you. If this wants to play nicely for me, let's refresh that. Okay, so you can see now that you can name it your ATO reporting category, whatever that may be. You now have the option to set it from a salary or an hourly perspective. And now all of our pay items, you have these ways of calculating the correct amount for you. Is it a regular multiplier? Is it a fixed hourly rate? Are you going to have super on it? A bit like what we currently have. Do you have leave accrual on it? You have all these options now to go and select and preset. Your payroll, as it currently is, when it comes into the new essentials, will have all the same parameters that you currently are using. So if you're staying along that line, fantastic, you won't need to make any changes. You may be the type of customer though that has really wanted to use long service leave accrual. And as we know, currently in essentials, you don't have the option of a long service leave accrual. You now can do that. You now can do RDOs. You can now do time in lieu. You now can create any leave item that you want to. You simply come in, create your leave item. If it's long service leave accrual, you need to select how it's going to calculate. Again, your accountant will be the best person to guide you on this. Do you want to print it on your payslip, yes or no? Who's linked to this pay item? Are there any exemptions? What don't you calculate long service leave accrual on? So we know that you don't calculate long service leave accrual on overtime. You don't calculate it on particular items. Again, your accountant will be the best person. If you feel you need to make any changes within your payroll, please reach out to your accountant, because again, there are options here that can have cause and effect on whether your payroll will process correctly or not. Okay, that's within your pay item setup. If we quickly jump into an employee, just to show you how different it can be and represent, your contact details is pretty much your cover page. If we jump into the payroll details, you can start to see that you have more options here. So is this an employee, an individually employee? Is it on labour hire? Is it on other, which is generally for our subcontractors? Again, things here that you may not know, perfect opportunity, click on your link, go have a read, creating pay items, adding an employee. What do I need to do here? Reach out to your accountant, best person to guide you. You know, your pay slip, how are you going to send that? Are you going to print it or are you going to email it? You set that all now within the employee. If we jump into salary and wages, you can see that you can now easily toggle between salary and hourly. You now set your pay cycle within your employee. So if I've got Estelle on weekly and I go create a pay run and I go on a weekly pay run, Estelle will show up. If I go create a pay run and choose fortnightly, Estelle won't even show up. Currently in Essentials, all our employees are listed there. We tick on which employees are reportable. Now we set that cycle in their employee card. We also now have the option to select different wage expense accounts. You may want to track your admin staff different to, and we'll go to a different account code, to tracking it differently to directors' salaries, or tracking it differently to your salespeople, to to report and view how much you're spending in different areas of your business. Okay, adding your pay items. This is probably the only bit that feels essentials. If Estelle is getting paid the JobKeeper top up, no problem. If I scroll down here and add in the JobKeeper top up, I can easily add in items for her. So she gets a car allowance, annual leave pay, she's on a base salary, so on and so on. You can add in those for you. Your payroll, as it gets upgraded, will only come with what you are currently using. But know that you have the option to come in and add way more if you need to now. You now have the full breadth of our payroll. Your accountant, again, will guide you on whether good idea, bad idea, whether, yes, that's definitely what we want to do for your payroll. That's definitely what we want to track. So let's add it in properly for you and work with you. Again, leave, if you haven't used long service leave accrual and you've got upgraded, well, you know what, I'm going to add in long service leave accrual. Great, I can add in a balance adjustment if I've done that calculation manually. Superannuation, you have the full suite of super now, whether it be employee additional, employer additional, productivity super. Even if you don't know what some of the things mean because you haven't needed to use it, you now have the full suite to have a choice from. And as a highlight difference within your employees, you can now set a standard pay. Okay, so if we know that Estelle, for example, she has a car allowance of $120 a week, I can now come in here and sort of template it. If I know that she has child support of $100, or you know what, the child support's decreased now, I got a letter, it should only be 50, she chooses to salary sacrifice as well, I can preset all these amounts now so that when I process my payroll, those amounts are already going to be pre-filled in there for me and I won't need to worry. It's going to be really, really handy. Okay, so really, really helpful here to set up that template for you. Okay, so your payroll is really in depth, really detailed. I know that we've run out of time here, but you can see there's so many amazing features that I really wanted to share with you. Payroll, if you are considering making changes, do reach out to our support or your accountant or bookkeeper to best guide you on what you need to do there. Otherwise, that's going to be it for me today. Ryan, are there any questions, anything anyone would like to look at while we're in the software?
No questions have been raised at the moment, Sonia. If anyone wants to raise a question, feel free to just pop it in the chat or the Q&A,
Yeah.
and we'd be happy to answer that for you. But if there's other questions that come after watching this or reviewing it, then feel free to just shoot them through to Helen,
Yep,
and she can send them on to me, and I'll get them answered for you. Not a problem at all.
perfect.
So.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sonia, for that. That was a great presentation. And I'd just like to say
You're
thanks
very
very
welcome.
much to the MYOB team, Sonia and Ryan and Carly earlier on today. I really think these sessions have been great and our clients will get a lot of benefit from them. And it's really exciting to see the changes that are happening with MYOB, and I'm sure our clients will be really happy with the way it's moving as well. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great. No problems. Thanks, Helen. We appreciate the opportunity. And as we mentioned before, we're happy to run some individual sessions if we need to.
Yep.
If it's just training or help with setup, etc., just let us know and we can help there
Great.
as well. So,
all right.
worries. Okay.
Thanks very much. I'll end off now.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Helen.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Sonia.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.